morning. Gonna have a story time. How many of you out there have had your encounters with a bully? My first real encounter was in 1980. I want to say 83. It might have been 82, actually. But I think I was in 8th grade. I got held back a couple years. I was a little bigger than a lot of kids in my school because being held back a couple of years, you're older and possibly a little bigger than other kids at the time. But yeah, I was in junior high, and not that my size had anything to do with it, but it started off me and my friend Richard was this is in Colorado. We were riding our bikes, and yeah, that's how it started. We was riding our bikes, and we were coming home from school, and we rode by a couple of these guys, and bigger guys, and that's my coffee brewing right there. Excuse the noise. All of a sudden, a brick, like a red brick, come flying by my face. I mean, it was like I could feel the wind. It was so close. I felt the wind of the brick, and I just, out of instinct, just naturally stopped, and without even thinking, I yelled, "Hey, you son of a bitch, you almost hit me with that." Excuse my language, but that's what I said. And the guy, and I was like, what did I just say, And the guy says, "Come on back here, you little puss, and say that to my face." And I was like, "No, that's okay." And we just rode on. And so in my mind, I'm like, I see these guys in the hallway, and they're going to know who I am, and there could be some tension, But one of the kids, I mean, I recognize both of them, but one of the kids was actually kind of a friend of a friend, a girl that I grew up with. And I think he was the one that threw the rock, but I don't think he knew that the brick or whatever. I don't think he knew that I knew her. But so Richard and I rode on to our houses, and the next day came, and I'm getting my books out of my locker. Standing toward my locker. All of a sudden, I get pushed against my locker. Boom, like that, And I looked, and it was the guy. His name's Kurt. I'm just say his first name. And he walked on by, and Kurt had a reputation of being a tough guy. He had done taekwondo. He was tall, drink of water. He wore cowboy boots, and but yeah, he had a reputation of being badass. But so I'm at this time I'm about 16 years old. I got to the point where I wasn't all that scared much really anymore. I'd never really had a real fight. And it kind of, in the back of your mind, some guys, well, even girls, they want to have their first fight. They want to know what it's like to be, punched. They want to know what it's like to interact in a engaging fighting, experience. So anyway, me and my friend, we're riding back home. And there was another kid. His name was Kyle. And he was kind of one of those kids that you can't trust, two-faced. You know, he'll go with the one that he thinks will win, you know, and he's going to be on their side. So Richard and I are riding along, and we come across Kurt. He's walking by himself on his way home from school. And Kurt says, "Hey, Kyle, come here." And Richard and I are sitting over here on our bikes, and Kyle goes over there, and then he comes back over here and he says, "Hey, Jerry, Kurt, he wants to talk to you." And I'm like, well, I don't want to talk to him. You know, this is, you know, while he's telling me this, Kurt is walking over to us. And I'm not one to go running away, you know, even though I knew that this could be trouble. He comes over and he straddles the front of my bike and grabs my steering, my handlebars, and he says, "You talk pretty tough," you know, because I said, you know, son of a bitch, you know, even though he wasn't the one that I don't think that's through the brick, but he says, "You talk pretty tough. Why don't you get off your bike and let's go a few rounds?" And I was like, I mean, in my mind, I'm like, you know what, this isn't going to end good. I mean, I am not going to win this fight if I start fighting with this guy. And I said, "No, that's okay." And he says, come on, you talk big, calling me a son of a bitch the other day. Come on, let's go a few rounds. Come on, get off your bike." I'm going, "No, that's all right." You know, my friend Richard's sitting right beside me on his bike. And he's like, and then all of a sudden, really quick, I mean, he just says, "You puss," and he goes, boom, right across my jaw. And it just makes my head just like that, you know, and my jaw gives. And but it didn't hurt. It was kind of weird. I mean, it jarred my head, but it didn't hurt. And I thought that was kind of funny because I was expecting it to, you know. And he just walks on. He didn't do any more. He didn't do any more about it. He just walked on, and I mean, he could have, you know, he could have really laid down and beat my ass, you know, if he wanted to. Surprised he didn't that day. But you know, I looked at Richard and I smiled. I said it didn't hurt. And so anyway, it was kind of funny because, I mean, really, I wasn't anybody around the school. I was the kind of kid that I got along with the jocks. I got along with the nerds. I got along with what they called the heads back then, the potheads. I got along with the Hispanics. I got along with everybody. I had friends in all of those genres of people, you know, and sometimes they intertwined. Some didn't get along with the other ones, you know, and my friend Richard, I remember, I walked in, and I guess they're kind of more jock guys. They were getting ready to put my friend's head in the toilet and give him what's called a swirly when I walked in. And I said, "Hey guys, don't do that to Richard. He's my friend." And they stopped. And yeah, my friendship with different cliques kind of, you know, made for tension between them, you know, and stuff. But you know, it's funny, that Kyle guy, the one that hit me across the face, I'd see him, and in the hallways or something, I'd say, "Hey, Kurt," and he'd say, "Hey," and he'd be like, "Who was that? Do I know that guy?" I mean, see, I mean, I was just another one of the kids that he picked on, and he doesn't even remember who I was, you know. It was just another day for him, you know. But they were pretty rough at that school. Yeah, there's some kids that got hurt pretty bad. But yeah, it's one of those things where sometimes you got to face your fears, you know, get through it. And once you do, you have more confidence in yourself about the next time you have an interaction with somebody. I was a loner. other than having those different friends. And I wore this big jacket. It had a patch on it that said Hadaka Motorcycles. I didn't know anything about motorcycles, but the jacket looked tough, you know, and I wore it to school when need be, and when it was cold. But yeah, I mean, school, I didn't do too good in school. I'm going to go to 11 minutes. I didn't do too good in school. Like I said, I got held back 2 years. I got held back in 2nd grade and 4th grade, I think it was. But I didn't do good. I didn't have the ability to take in the knowledge. I had resource classes most of my school years, and well, all my school years. I just needed help all the time. But yeah, halfway through 8th grade, I turned 16, and I quit school. Went to work at an Elks Lodge washing dishes by hand for $2.85 an hour. But I don't know if I told you guys that story or not. But anyway, there you go. That was my encounter with a bully type person. And hope you all enjoyed it. I'll see you, excuse my bad language throughout the video. I just kind of telling it kind of how it is, what was said, how it was said, whatever. But y'all have a good day. See you in the next one. Bye.